Sion the Undead Juggernaut is a tank focused on immobilizing and sponging. Voiced by J.S. Gilbert, who also voiced Dr. Mundo, Gragas, Udyr, Battlecast Cho'Gath, specifically Battlecast, and also 300 more video games, including Leapfrog and LeapPad toys, which he seemed really proud of considering that he listed that job after League and before Tekken, Twisted Metal, Star Ocean, and Farmville. Sion was released February 21st, 2009, and he was reworked in 2014. Sion leans heavily into map, fog of war, and positioning knowledge, using anything to obscure vision to get a quick Q off before they even know where they are, before dropping all their studs. Almost all of his abilities immobilize in some way. His W, yes I know I'm doing it out of order, blame Nebulos, is a shield that will scale as the game goes on, giving you HP per minion or jungle camp killed. When activated, it will give him a shield that he can then shed after a certain amount of time, dealing magic damage in an area around him. His Q is a wind-up slam, letting him cancel at any time, but in exchange losing damage, and it will not knock up enemies if he doesn't charge it above half, which can lead to some funny moments if your timing is just a little bit off. His E will send enemy units flying and will reduce the armor of anything the unit hits. You can also just hit the champion, not moving them but slowing them and only them, still reducing their armor. Lastly, his R, which I say this a lot, but it's one of my favorite things when a character's ult has a universal sound. It's just so cool. Although this ult can incentivize the most boring way to play Sion in the game, but more on that later. Sion will scream and charge, giving you little control over the movements in exchange for speed, distance traveled, and damage. Once you decide to stop, he will hit the ground, damaging and slowing enemies around him, or you can chug straight into them, knocking them up instead. Something to note is that there is a strat where you can increase the CC and damage output by canceling the ult and hitting them at the same time. It's really weird. It's a lot of like tech and stuff that I'm just bad at, so you might need to find someone who's a little better at teaching those tricks than I am. So I would look up how to play like a Sion Pro type of video, something like that. And that's his kit. He's a monster in battle that refuses to die until he dies. And all your abilities are swapped for Death Surge, which will give you a movement speed boost for a short time and your health will melt faster than an ADC's, but each punch shreds. If you can manage to get close, which is really fucking hard because everyone has CC and like everyone has the movement speed to just run away from you after you use Death Surge, so basically it's almost impossible. It's really fucking frustrating when someone gets really fucking close to dying and then you just like you're about to punch him for one last time, and then somehow they just walk away just A-okay, because they have like they have the same amount of movement speed as you do, but they got a little ahead, and it's like, I would scream, but every time I've tried to scream, it actually blows out my eardrums in editing, so I'm not gonna do that. But if you can manage to get close to them, you will crush through their HP like it's nothing. Even tanks are marshmallows to this. Then you die for real. Sion has a bit of room for build paths considering his scaling potential, but there are 3 that I will discuss in this video. First, let's get this out of the way, considering it's like my most hated and I'm gonna probably get like bullied by the guys who actually run this normally. The Hullbreaker Sion is just boring. You go fishing just to watch the water, you're the guy who watches paint dry, you're the type of guy who just watches porn instead of going out and getting bitches. Like, you're just really boring. The novelty is fun for like 4 games, but then after that, it's just, you should realize it's pretty boring and dumb. This playstyle also has the most use my ult as an escape tool type of players, which is even more boring because your ult is meant to be an engage and you're meant to be fighting people. Like, this is just boring. You're just sitting in the side lane farming for the rest of the game. Just lame. And I will admit, it does get the job done in some circumstances. Like, if you build it against a Yorick or a Lowy or any of those, it's a good idea. But, like, the point is to build it just to challenge them. You're not running down the lane the whole last fucking game, right? That's not your whole point in life, and just wasting your potential in a team fight, right? You're not just sitting in the top lane doing nothing the entire game instead of helping your team in a team fight, right? Right? Speaking of, the tank Sion build is a classic. Considering how you can infinitely stack HP, you become an ultimate tank similar to stacking AP with Viager. It's just a classic. Although it can get a little dull, he provides an impervious front line and backline access along the lines of, "I'll just be on my way," which can always be a blast. And his severe amount of CC enables your team to get free kills on the crippled fucks right there, but why let them get the kills? The last build takes advantage of your ability to stack and say, "fuck around and find out." Going full assassin can be a very novel experience and can crush too. It can really depend on the team comps though, considering in my experience attacking tanks feels as useless as my brain writing this joke. Whatever build you go for on Sion, he will always feel like the creature he was meant to be, a monster used to keep others in line. I'll touch on his lore here, so if that's not your thing you can skip it or something. Sion was an old tribe leader of Noxus who waged war on Jarvan the 24th, as opposed to Jarvan the 7204th we play as in the game. He led in a charge into an Demacian army, leaving him with his most trusted allies. All of them dying around him, completely surrounded, he charged through the men and basically got impaled like full 300 style, to the point where he was covered in his own blood weapons of enemies, and he finally arrived at Jarvan, where he was slashed down. But Jarvan 0.5 forgot one thing. He didn't have flash up. With his final breath, he choked Jarvan with his own fucking crown, which is pretty metal. Noxus recovered the body and then put it to rest, where some old dictator of Noxus revived him with the help of the Black Rose. He rose, he killed some people, they realized he wasn't worth it, they put him back, and then now Swain is using him to keep his own territories in line. Kept alive by a furnace of cherry-flavored magic in his stomach, not really remembering who he was before he became whatever he is today. Pretty cool storyline, and the disconnect between the lore and the character in-game is practically non-existent. From the staple wounds in his chest to the powerful abilities he has, it makes him look unstoppable, which is the point of the character. Although there is one thing that can crush his connection between, lore and gameplay, and that's counterpicks. I've never felt so reliant on ganks before when I've played as a character for one of these videos as I have with Sion. Sion, using a channeling ability, it's going to be very dependent on the enemy picks if they have an ability to just hard CC you and ruin the channel. And I understand counterpicks are a normal part of League of Legends. Everyone has them, and it's just a kind of a part of the game. But I've never felt so useless before as a Sion, being counterpicked by like a Darius or something. And considering your channel is the only form of damage you have, it makes it so if anyone hard CCs you in the middle of it, you're kind of just left there like holding your own cock out. Which is why I tend to just escape to the jungle. There's practically no competition there, so you can waddle around farming until level 6 and just... But I would say this doesn't suit the tank Sion very well, considering that he usually wants to build Grasp of the Undying, and the big thing behind Grasp of the Undying is that you can hit minion and then trade and get a stack of it. It can still work, but I would prefer to, I say just go phase rush and go full assassin with it every time. But it can lead to some baboons trying to act like you should be engaging even though you're a full assassin at this point. You do have some tankiness, so you can just walk around their lines, but not as much as like a normal Sion would. So just don't listen to those baboons, play the way you want to play. Although there is one thing to be asked. The difference between these two play styles might have you asking yourself, how the fuck do I engage as an assassin build? And to that I say, get fed. But if you stink, the next best thing is to lie in wait like a spider. And then when something squirms in your web, you turn into a car, smash into them, punch them in the fucking face, smash them with your massive war axe. Like a spider. For tank Sion, you should just engage for your team and play the front line. Like, yeah, you can dive them and go for cheesy flanks, but it's best left to your assassins on your team. But if you have, like, legitimately no dive, then maybe it's best for you. I don't know, it's kind of up to you. And like I said earlier, Hullbreaker Sion is good for characters like Lowy, Yorick, Fiora, any of those characters. It's best for those because they're going to be split pushing the whole game, so you can go challenge them. Because, like, you can't just send your mage to go challenge them because they'll just get tower dived and die. So that's your job. But the idea would be is that you'd push in, you'd push them back, and then you teleport for a team fight, get Dragon or Baron. So go out there, cripple those blokes, smash those supports' teeth in, and split push for the rest of eternity because my distaste for it was never gonna stop ya. This is gonna be normal Preston for now, so you know, if you're done with the video, then you can click off if you wish. That's up to you. But if you liked the video, like and subscribe. It mean a lot to me. And if you didn't like the video, dislike and tell me why in the comments. I see some of you guys disliking, and you're not telling me why in the comments, which is not cool. You gotta tell me why, or else I'm gonna cry. But anyway, I really hope you guys have a great day.